Hey guys, if you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. Okay guys, it is Tuesday, June 11th, and I hope that everyone is doing well this evening. We're going to be taking a look at some Q-related news, and hopefully once that is uploading, I can go on and record my second video. I hope that my strength holds out for that. I'm going to push forward anyway. And anyway, we are going to go over there now. And thank you guys so much. You guys that have contributed to Patreon. Some of you contribute a little bit each month, and some of you buy me a coffee every now and then. It really does help because this does take a lot of time away from other activities that I could be doing to earn an income, such as freelance work and writing and art and so forth. So it does kind of compensate for my time a bit, and not totally, but it compensates enough that I can keep doing it because I love to do it. So I really do appreciate that, but never, I want to reiterate that I don't expect anyone on a fixed income to buy me coffee or anything else. I'm still going to be here regardless. So I'm not like a crying evangelist, send me money or I'm off the air. No, I won't do that, I promise. All right, now we're going to be looking, there are no Q posts tonight, but always there is plenty of Q related news. And the last video that I did, someone said that I had my computer sitting on the table here, and someone said that they could feel the vibrations from me typing into the mic. So I'm going to try this way and see if it's any better. So if you have any issues like that, please let me know. Otherwise, I don't know, because I don't listen to all my videos. I'll listen to a few minutes to make sure it's okay. But you know, if there's a problem throughout, I probably won't know unless you tell me. So I appreciate your comments, and I have very thick skin. I don't get offended at all. So anyway, I mean, if you call me really bad names, I might get offended a little, but you guys are too nice for that. Anyway, now remember the video that I did on the airplane crash in Manhattan, New York? Well, I found this out on the on Twitter, and it was a letter from Field McConnell of Able Danger, and he had sent it to iPot 77 in Pursuit of Truth 76 rather, in Pursuit of Truth 76. And he had this to say, and I wanted to make sure that I got this to you because I know that many of you were interested in that and found it fascinating, or so the comments said. Yesterday's remote attack on Sidley, Austin is explained by searching some terms that will lead you to the truth. If I had to rationalize yesterday's short flight, I would opine that the flight of the Asta Westland 109 filed a flight plan. Whoever wanted to inflict pain and, more importantly, exposure of Sidley Austin's linkage to Obama's, Clinton's 9/11 would have known that the chopper would be returning to base RTB from the flight plan, and they would know departure time, route, and altitude. So once the chopper was level and on course, they could remotely commandeer the chopper via the 4-axis autopilot and redirect its course so as to be on a trajectory to cross the SA building. Now, that makes sense to me that it was being remote controlled, because I don't believe that any pilot is really that stupid, if there was a pilot in there at all. We don't know that. They say that one perished, that a pilot perished, but we don't know. Maybe he was dead before he even took off. Maybe it was all, or maybe, I don't know. I'm just surmising, but it's all very, very interesting. And the fact that he was close to the river and faltering doesn't make sense to me, because any trained pilot would put their craft down either in the river if they couldn't find anywhere else to down it, or on the helipads that were there. They were right near them. They could have landed safely. So it doesn't make sense. And if they felt they were going to crash, why wouldn't they crash into the water? Why would they go, north and towards, the city, and towards, places that are very populous? That doesn't make any sense. Pilots don't generally do that unless they are wanting, I mean, like 9/11, that was obvious. I mean, they wanted to crash the planes, and they wanted to inflict as much damage as they could, and they did. But anyway, once in control of the chopper and it's flying directly towards the targeted, or toward the targeted building, they could attack the building by using FADEC to shut down both engines. This is very similar to how replacement drones were used by Sidley Austin, Obama's, Clinton's, Serco, U.S. Senior Executive Service, Christine Marcy, who is my sister. Now, he does have a sister that is part of the deep state, whom he has no contact with and whom he very much despises, and other globalists, and that is his sister, Christine Marcy, and other globalists and deep state goons attacked World Trade Center 1, World Trade Center 2, and Pentagon on 9/11, 2001. Now, also, I want to say that I do apologize. This is very blurry. It's blurry for me, so I can only imagine how blurry it is on your screen. It will get better, but this particular item is blurry. All right, beginning on 1/1/2007, this same RICO enterprise has remotely attacked 15 transport category aircraft, beginning with Atom Air 574 and continuing through Ethiopia 302. In case of Lion Air 610 and Ethiopia 302, the nefarious RICO enterprise capitalized on a known vulnerability in this Boeing 737 MAX MCAS system to attack the U.S. economy by standing down the MAX jets. And if I were a gambler, which I am not, I would focus on Pratt Whitney, Canada, BAE, UK, Airbus, France, and Serco, Prince William. A tough question for Serco would be, how is it that Prince William arrived on Diego Garcia 90 minutes after MH370 landed there? And we do know now that the so-called missing MH370 did land on Diego Garcia, which is a U.S. base, and very, very, it's a small island. It's not well known. And Prince William arrived on Diego Garcia 90 minutes after the MH370 landed there. Let me know if you need more to consider. Myself and David Hawkins solved this attack mechanism and continually shared it from March 2007 until 20th January 2017. Under George Walker Bush and Obama regimes, nobody gave a shite. However, with Trump, we have a new sheriff in town, and POTUS and his Marines are taking notice and taking names. Many of those names will be unsealed. Field McConnell. P.S. It is my hope that by 9/11 Mountain Time this morning, it is my hope that by 9/11 Mountain Time this morning, a Twitter barrage will put this in the public domain. So anyway, I found that and I thought it was interesting. I'm not going to pretend that I know everything it means, but I do know that it has been surmised and pretty much a given that a lot of these crashes have been by remote control. And of course, remember, Q told us that was it 7 in 10 aircraft? I can't remember the exact number, but I think it was 7 in 10 airplane crashes are because of they're controlled crashes. They're brought down by means of the remote somehow they're able to get into that and commandeer it and do whatever they wish with it. All right, now we are going to get into the news, and there's a lot, so I don't have any hope of being able to get through this list tonight anyway, but I'm going to do my best, and hopefully I will have enough energy left over to do a second video. So let's go here. This is pretty horrific. Germany, Muslim migrant beheads baby. Merkel's response? Muzzle the media. Well, isn't that seems to be the response whenever a Muslim is involved in anything? Muzzle the media. That's what happens in Canada. There are no names given out, and if they give the name of someone that it wasn't a Muslim, because if it is, they don't release the name. Interesting, isn't it? Not really. It happened back in April, although it was reported only in the German media. Apparently, the English language media didn't find it newsworthy that a Muslim migrant beheaded his 1-year-old daughter on a Hamburg train platform, but the sheer horror of this incident has been compounded now by Angela Merkel's government, which has reportedly banned further reporting on the incident. Anything to keep as many Germans as possible ignorant and complacent regarding just how devastating the Muslim migrant influx into Germany really is. According to eyewitnesses, says one news report on this incident, the 33-year-old suspect, Murtala Madhu, beheaded his 1-year-old daughter in front of a horrified crowd of commuters at Jungfersteig station Thursday, April 12th, and then stabbed his German girlfriend, the mother of the child. The suspect allegedly stabbed the infant from behind while she was sitting in her stroller and then severed her neck. He then allegedly stabbed his girlfriend in the chest before fleeing the scene, dumping the murder weapon in the train station trash can. He was later arrested. Eyewitnesses can be heard saying that the suspect cut the baby's head off. I don't know how anybody could do that to anyone's child, let alone to your own flesh and blood. I don't get that. I don't get that, and I'll never get it. There has to be something really, really broken in you, or you're being demonically influenced, because I just can't imagine. It's too horrific for words. Police spokesman Timo Zill said the murders were very targeted. Eyewitnesses described them as an honor killing. In beheading the baby, Madhu also utilized a form of killing especially favored by Islamic, I'm not going to say that word, but I'm sure you can see it there where my cursor is, heeding the and here is another word I'm not going to say, injunction: when you meet the unbelievers, strike the necks. So in response, the Merkel government did not open an investigation of honor killing or of Muslim migrant crime. It did not commission a study of their theology and culture and the effects of importing a large number of people from a culture of violence into Germany. Instead, German media has been allowed by the government to report on the murder of the mother, but Angela Merkel's pro-migrant government banned German media outlets from reporting on the baby. Germany's largest newspaper, Bild, report on the death of the mother of 4 without mentioning the details regarding the barbaric murder of her child. Now, I'm not going to go on with that. I think that's enough, but I'm sure it affects you the same way that it affects me. I can't imagine it not. Now, let's just look at this, shall we? NADLER. My gosh, that should be a swear word. Jerry Nadler. Jerry Nadler reaches deal with Justice Department ahead of Barr contempt vote. And doesn't he look pleased with himself? I'm sure he's going right out to get himself some fast food. Yeah. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jerry Nadler, doesn't he just, I don't know, announced Monday that he has reached a deal with the Justice Department, heading off a House vote Tuesday to hold Attorney General William Barr in contempt. I don't even know how he could hold him in contempt, because Barr did everything legally. So how can he be in contempt? But, the Democrats don't seem to put 2 and 2 together and think logically at all. I am pleased to announce that the Department of Justice has agreed to begin complying with our committee's subpoena by opening Robert Mueller's most important files to us, providing us with key evidence that the special counsel used to assess whether the president and others obstructed justice or were engaged in other misconduct, Nadler wrote in a statement. These guys aren't going to stop. They're not going to stop, because it doesn't matter what's in there. They've got to see it. They don't trust Mueller now. Oh, they trusted him when they thought that he was going to bring down Trump. But now, we don't trust him. We've got to see what's in there. Given our conversations with the department, I will hold criminal contempt process in abeyance for now. We have agreed to allow the department time to demonstrate compliance with this agreement, he wrote. Nadler said the Justice Department will share the first of the documents later Monday and that both Democrats and Republicans would be able to view them. These documents will allow us to perform our constitutional duties. Yeah, right. Like they care about their constitutional duties. He cares about donuts. That's what he cares about. And decide how to respond to the allegations laid out against the president by the special counsel, he added. The House had planned to hold a vote on Tuesday on whether to hold Barr in contempt for refusing to testify in April before the House Judiciary Committee. The committee had wanted staff lawyers to question Barr in addition to members of Congress, but Barr refused, and Republicans accused Democrats of trying to simulate impeachment hearings. Now, you know he'll never be impeached. He'll never be impeached because the bulk of the country doesn't want him impeached, and the bulk of the Senate doesn't want him impeached. They will never get impeachment through, and they know that. They know that, but they're playing us. They think we are all as stupid as them. Have you ever had a conversation with someone that just wasn't mentally adept? And you're talking to them, and they think they're putting something over on you. And you're thinking, my gosh, this person thinks they're fooling me. And they really do, because they just don't have, they can't do the mental gymnastics, you know? Anyway, so I'm not going to read any more of that. That's enough of that. I really, you know, it's very rare that I take a very big dislike to someone, but there's something about Nadler, just looking at him infuriates me. I don't know what it is. There's this, I don't know what it is. Maybe some of you guys have a word for it. I don't, but there's something about his face I dislike very much. And it's not about the way he looks. I'm not saying that. It's just, I don't know. It's like Brennan with that expression, like he looks always looking constipated. What is with that? The man does. He looks like he's constipated. Anyway, someone should slip him some X-Lax in his coffee and loosen him up a bit. Okay. Now, let me see what this is. I really don't know. Come on. I don't remember now. Acting DHS Inspector General retires. Yes. This is odd. All of a sudden, he just retires. No warning, no anything. Just retires. So I wonder what that's all about. Acting DHS Inspector General retires. Deputy to fill role. And hang on here. Let's get rid of this. Acting Department of Homeland Security DHS Inspector General John V. Kelly will retire from his position effective June 10th, which was yesterday. That's very little notice because this came out when? When did this come out? This came out on the 10th. So it was announced the day that he was retiring. So what's up with that? That's a little unusual. Usually if someone's retiring, you know, we know that in advance. They say, okay, well, this is going to be my last day, whatever. So what's going on with this? I bet you there's a whole lot more going on with this than meets the eye. Anyway, Kelly will retire from his position effective June 10th. The Office of Inspector General confirmed Monday. Deputy Inspector General Jennifer Costello will assume the role of Acting Inspector General, according to a statement from the DHS's Office of Inspector General shared with The Hill by a spokesperson. I informed OIG staff this morning that I intend to retire effective today. I accelerated my retirement because I feel it's in the best interest of the organization and its employees, Kelly said in a statement. Odd. Now, he said, he wanted to accelerate his retirement. Now, nothing like going to work and just saying, oh, by the way, today, I'm retiring today. I don't believe it. I don't believe it at all. I think he was fired and they're letting him save face. I don't know. I could be wrong. But I've been wrong before. But it just doesn't make sense. Who does that? No one. As I told the staff, I have truly enjoyed my 11-year tenure with the DHS OIG, an organization with a most important mission and extraordinary staff and managers that successfully execute that mission on a daily basis. Kelly's retirement comes a week after a Washington Post report that he had overridden auditors who found issues with the Federal Emergency Management Agency's FEMA response to disasters. Okay, well, now we're getting to the meat. Instead, the Post, citing interviews and a new internal review, reported that Kelly directed FEMA auditors to write feel-good reports about disaster response. Kelly denied he had instructed his staff to write reports that attempted to sanitize the responses, the Post added in its report last week. So there you go. Another person bites the dust and can be added because, remember, Q always told us to keep a running list of all these people that leave, and so forth, retire. Yeah, suspicious to me, maybe not to you. All right, now I want to show you this, which is a little off topic and yet not. This is from National Geographic, and this is a picture of the Gulf, and let's read this, pretty damning. Seen from above, the Mississippi River carries sediment into the Gulf of Mexico. That sediment often carries pollutants from fertilizers that cause a spike in algal blooms. That's hard to say. Now there is a massive 8,000-mile dead zone that could be one of the Gulf's largest. Record-breaking Midwest rainfall washed tons of fertilizer and sewage water out to sea, contributing to a devastatingly large patch of polluted water, scientists say. That's all we need, more polluted waters. I really don't understand why all these pesticides are allowed. I know that it increases production and everything, but we eat it, it gets into our system, it makes us sick. It gets into the environments, it kills animals. Now it's into the Gulf where most of the U.S. shrimp comes from, and people fish. Yeah, lovely, isn't it? So that's from all the rain just off the coast of Louisiana and Texas, where the Mississippi River empties. The ocean is dying. The cyclical event known as the dead zone occurs every year, but scientists predict that this year's could be one of the largest in recorded history. Annual spring rains wash the nutrients used in fertilizers and sewage into the Mississippi. That fresh water, less dense than ocean water, sits on the top of the ocean, preventing oxygen from mixing through the water column. Eventually, those freshwater nutrients can spur a burst of algal growth, which consumes oxygen as the plants decompose. The resulting patch of low oxygen water leads to a condition called hypoxia, where animals in the area suffocate and die. Well, isn't that lovely? Scientists estimate that this year the dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico will spread for just over and just under 8,000 square miles across the continental shelf situated off the coast. When the oxygen is below 2 parts per million, any shrimp, crabs, and fish that can swim away will swim away, says Louisiana State University oceans ecologist Nancy Rabelis. The animals in the sediment that can't swim away can be close to annihilated. Lovely. Yeah, that's where we get the bulk of the shrimp. So that's what you're eating. Yeah, remind me, no more shrimp. Seriously. The oceans are becoming too polluted and unbelievable. Anyway, animals like shrimp will often search for more oxygen in shallower waters close to the shore. Shrimp subjected to hypoxic waters are smaller, their growth stunted by pollution. One study published in 2017 noted how the dead zone affects Gulf Coast shrimpers by driving down the price of shrimp and reducing profit for local businesses. Dead zones are not unique to the Gulf of Mexico, though the Gulf is estimated to be the world's second largest. In the world's largest dead zone in the Baltic Sea, low oxygen devastated fisheries and most marine animals can no longer survive there. Off the west coast of the United States, California and Oregon, crab and oyster industries have reported profit losses since the early 21st century, saying the annual wave of low oxygen ocean water has destroyed many of the animals they normally fish from. Sentiment. Now, I just wanted to add here, and I know you're not all believers, and that's fine. You don't have to agree with me. There's no law that says you have to, and you're more than welcome here, even if you don't. But the Bible says that a third of the oceans and the animals therein, the animals, the mammals, whatever, therein, the creatures, will perish in the end time. So we can see that already happening. Okay, let's go back now. We've got lots more to get to. Yes, we do. And here is NADLER again. NADLER. And now for something completely different. Yeah. Wow, his mouth is open and there isn't a donut in it. I'm sorry. That's mean. That is really mean. And I'm really not usually like that. I really am not. I don't make fun of people like that, but I just dislike this man. I really dislike him. Jerry Nadler introduces bill to give Mexico 270 electoral votes. What? Is he out of his cotton picking mind? I think all the Democrats are. All they can think about is, how can we retain power? How can we get rid of Trump? How can we retain our power in 2020? Give Mexico, a foreign country, 270 electoral votes? Are you kidding me? Kind of a, I don't know. I don't know. Talk about being a mental midget. Seriously. I honestly, this man must have the IQ of soap scum. I don't know. Anyway, let's go on. It's just crazier and crazier. All right. More things that will make you go, huh? Wake up, slaves. California middle schools now teaching 10-year-olds how to put on condoms, engage in this word right here, and use toys. These kind of toys. Yeah. How do you like that? Well, I know if I had a child in the school system in California, if I possibly could, I would pull them out and homeschool them. I know that's not possible for all parents because maybe both parents need to work to make ends meet. But let me tell you, I could not subject a child to that. Whereas children of this age would have been innocently romping around the playground, jumping rope, playing dodgeball, and climbing across the monkey bars 50 years ago, 10-year-olds today are reportedly now being taught at public school how to engage in this right here, hinder part sex, use condoms, and play with toys. These kind of toys. This according to a former public school teacher turned whistleblower who says that the new education standards in the Golden State are so beyond the point of depraved that most parents, if they really knew the truth, would be marching on these indoctrination centers with pitchforks in hand. Well, I would say so. It's so shocking, said Rebecca Friedrichs, founder of the Group for Kids and Country, about the unspeakable evils taking place in California's public middle schools. It is medically risky on multiple levels, she said, about curriculum that involves having 10-year-old girls put condoms on prosthetic male parts, while 10-year-old boys watch, or having 10-year-olds both sexes practice engaging in oral and hinder part sex. I have to be careful because they really are watching the conservatives very closely. And while you read the curriculum, she says further, it's written almost like a college fraternity wrote this curriculum in a very crass and juvenile way. For more news about the perversion that passes for education in American public schools in 2019, be sure to check out campusinsanity.com. And if you're interested in learning more about this, go to that website, campusinsanity.com. The evil being taught to public school students in California is so depraved that it can't even be talked about on public airways. Like, for example, I can't even read to you what they're doing, or I'll be booted off. And yet they're teaching this to 10-year-olds. 10-year-olds. Oh, I hear Sammy into something. Won't that be a surprise when I'm finished to go find out what he's been into? Just can hardly wait. Yeah. When giving public interviews, Friedrichs, a conservative activist who's been actively involved in fighting this type of innocent young children fighting this type of indoctrination and brainwashing of innocent young children for nearly 30 years, said that she often can't even discuss what's going on because it's too extreme for public airways. I'll always tell people that the scary thing is I'll give radio interviews and I can't even say on the radio things that are being taught in our elementary and middle school classrooms in mixed company, Friedrich says. There's something very wrong here. In addition to being taught all sorts of perverse sexual acts, these same 10-year-old children are also being given lessons in how to become transgenders and other colors on the LGBTQP rainbow, a sort of brainwashing that's already been shown to increase the risk of exposed children developing mental illness or attempting suicide later on in their lives. In Oregon, the parents of an 8-year-old boy are suing Nellie Murr Elementary School over a teacher whom they say indoctrinated their son with one-on-one gender lessons, confusing him into believing that he's a transgender. Cult of LGBTQP says California parents can't opt their children out of this indoctrination because doing so would be bullying. Really? As for the students in California who are now being systematically subjected to this type of insanity, parents are reportedly prohibited from opting them out of it because doing so, says the cult of LGBTQP, would constitute bullying. It's this anti-bullying campaign so that LGBT children don't get bullied because they claim there's this big problem with bullying of those children, Friedrich said, pointing out the irony of the cult of LGBTQP bullying parents by disallowing them authority over their own children's schooling. What the unions do is they push their agenda by saying, we have to stop all this bullying. So every single child in America needs to be exposed to this anti-bullying in the form of gender spectrum and gender identity, Friedrichs adds. It's caused a lot of confusion for parents here because parents will say, oh, I don't need to worry, I can opt out. Well, you can't opt out. Yeah. How do you like that? How would you like that being taught to your 10-year-old and you not having any say whatsoever about it? You can't opt out. You either have to pull them out of the school or let them participate. That's things like that make me extremely, extremely sad because these children don't have a choice. They don't have a choice. And you start talking to children that young about things like that, it's very confusing. Now, no, I mean, certainly sex education has a place in the schools if it's done properly. But when I was a kid, the boys were separated from the girls so that nobody would feel intimidated to ask questions. And we learned about it all in a very clinical manner, but we knew that, we were able to ask questions, we were able to learn, and it was done in a way that was not offensive at all. I mean, I remember that in school. I didn't find it offensive. It was very, very mild considering what they have today. But all right, let's go back now because there's more foolishness to get to. All right. Now this is from the same website, and I'm new to this website, but I actually have found quite a few interesting things on here, and this is particularly interesting. Genetic sequencing science breakthrough just proved that measles outbreaks are caused by the measles vaccine. That was published today, June 11th. How do you like that? Now, I've suspected that for a long time, but interesting. The entire fear-mongering campaign around measles outbreaks in the United States centers around a big lie that's pushed by vaccine propagandists. All measles outbreaks, they falsely claim, are due solely to unvaccinated children. Thus, the answer to outbreaks is more vaccines, they say. And here's my thought on that. Okay, they say, well, you can't take your children to school if they're not vaccinated. Well, if they're not vaccinated, wouldn't they only be a risk to those other children that were unvaccinated? They wouldn't be a risk. Like, let's say your child goes to that school and they're vaccinated. Well, an unvaccinated child poses no risk to your child. So what's the big deal here? Anyway, but a science paper published in the Journal of Clinical Microbiology entitled Rapid Identification of Measles Virus Vaccine Genotype by Real-Time PCR has discovered something that vaccine fanatics don't want the public to know. As it turns out, a large number of measles outbreaks are actually vaccine reactions from the measles vaccine itself, MMR vaccines. Now, I stopped taking flu shots, and I'm not suggesting any of you do. That is between you and your loved ones, or whatever. Between you and God, between you and your loved ones. I know some people are forced to get it because of their jobs, if they work with compromised populations. I know if you work in a hospital, you have to get them. But every time I took a flu shot, I got very, very sick. Very sick. And I know you're probably saying, well, how do you know it was due to that? I know, because I never get the flu. It's very, very, very rare. I can probably count on one hand how many times I've had the flu, and probably 4 of those times were right after I got the flu shot. Yeah. Anyway, during measles outbreaks, it's important to be able to rapidly distinguish between measles cases and vaccine reactions to avoid unnecessary outbreak response. Measures such as case isolation and contact investigations, the study authors write, we have developed a real-time reverse transcription PCR, RT-PCR method specific for genotype A measles virus, MEV, MEVA, RT, quantitative PCR, I don't understand all this, that can identify measles vaccine strains rapidly with high throughput and without the need for sequencing to determine the genotype. With the help of this breakthrough science on genetic sequencing, these researchers have stumbled onto something the CDC is desperately trying to make sure the American public never learns. Keep reading below. Okay, I will. Almost 38% of measles cases were found to be vaccine reactions caused by measles vaccines. During the measles outbreak in California in 2015, a large number of suspected cases occurred in recent vaccinees. 3 of the 194 measles virus sequences obtained in the United States in 2015, 73 were identified as vaccine sequences. In other words, measles outbreaks were occurring among children who were already vaccinated with the measles. If you do the math, nearly 38% of the genetic sequence that was conducted on the supposed measles cases turned out to identify measles strains that originated in the vaccines themselves. That's why I won't be taking any vaccine for Ebola. And let me tell you something else about Ebola, because I did do that whole video on Ebola, so you guys should be, well versed in what is happening there. But this strain, and somebody had asked me this is not a normal strain that has broken out. It's not Ebola Zaire. It's not a known strain. It's the strain that the CDC has a patent on. Yeah, which means that any vaccine that's given, they will profit from. And how do we know that the vaccine is safe? How do we know that the vaccine won't cause, like this, in 38% of the cases, measles? Whether you're vaccinated or not, you may get Ebola. And the thing is, there's going to come a time when it's already reached the tipping point. They've already said it's past the tipping point. You know what that means? It's out of control. They cannot control it anymore. And we have hundreds of Africans, some from the Congo, crossing over our border. And are they being quarantined for 21 days? Because they should be. And even then, a blood test might not show it, because now this new strain can hide in your eyes and it won't show up in your bloodstream. And it incubates for 21 days. So you could be within the 21 days and sitting with someone, or you could be on an airplane with someone, and they could be infected and infecting others, but no one would know. They're not running a fever yet. There's nothing, it's not showing, and yet they're still contagious. So very interesting here. And it confirms something that I've suspected for a very long time. And yet every time I say this, people say, oh, you're a tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist and everything else, and they poo-poo me, and they pat me on the back. There, yeah, okay. And it enrages me. It absolutely enrages me, because they take everything that's told to them and they believe it. Well, if you look down through history, look at how many times we've been lied to. Yeah. So there, I don't trust them. And this is interesting. In Germany, only 2% of measles cases are caused by vaccines. So I'm not going to go further into this. Vaccines in the United States are deliberately engineered to contain live measles viruses to cause outbreaks that feed the media frenzy. I don't know about that. But I don't believe that the vaccines are safe. I don't. And I do believe that there is a population reduction plan in effect. And it's happening. Chemtrails, what we eat. Most of our food is just cardboard. It's not even real. And a lot of the poorer people are, the more they eat processed food because it's cheap. They make this food cheap and they make it addictive. And they make it so fattening, like they use the high fructose corn syrup, which is highly addictive. Now, I don't believe that they're allowed to do that in Canada. That's why a lot of people want the Coke from Canada, because it has real sugar in it and not high fructose corn sugar or corn syrup. But they've been slowly killing us for a while now. But I think that that's going to pick up. And we do know that there are, if you are a believer in the Word of God, you know that there are plagues, diseases, pestilence, and famines coming. So I know everybody wants to believe that everything's just going to be wonderful and Trump is going to solve all of our problems. Well, I do believe Trump is working for us. I do believe that. I do doubt it once in a while because I'm just that kind of a person. Like, I like to look at all sides. Like, am I being deceived here? Is he really working for the globalists? I don't think so. But I don't also believe that he's going to save the world. I don't. I think what I believe, and this is my opinion, I believe that Trump has bought us some time. And we need to use it wisely. That's what I believe. All right, I'm going to get off of this for now, but this website is wakeupslaves.co. Wakeupslaves.co. And good website. Might want to check it out. All right, and let's go back. Lots of stuff tonight. Lots of stuff. Now, this from Representative Matt Gaetz, who I have the utmost respect for. I don't know if I could have any more respect for him, to tell you the truth, because every time I've heard him speak, what he says is so phenomenal, so hard-hitting. But here he says, it is past time to stop the harassment of the president and the first family. We need to figure out how an accusation was able to be funded by the DNC, cooked up by the Obama White House, and then polluted by Russians. We're gonna figure out what happened. I have no doubt. And I think really they know what happened. It's just bringing them to justice. And I think if justice tarries much longer, many of us will lose hope, to tell you the truth. I really do believe that, because we see that they have been doing this flagrantly in front of us, lying to our faces, defrauding the American people, defrauding the taxpayers, giving our secrets to our enemies, and yet nothing happens to them. Or seemingly nothing happens to them. Okay, now let's look at this, and this is not good news. Report, Los Angeles homelessness crisis worsens. 16,000 living in cars. Now, I can bet you that there are more than 16,000 living in cars. They say that there are more homeless people in Los Angeles than there are high school graduates. That is outrageous. Outrageous. And I saw a picture. These people were dining in a restaurant and it had an outside patio, and there they were sitting at the patio eating, and a homeless person was just off, to at the side of the street there pooping. Yeah. So report, Los Angeles homelessness crisis worsens 16,000 living in cars. So the homelessness epidemic in Los Angeles is worsening, with the number of individuals living in cars rising to 16,000, according to a recent report in the Los Angeles Times. Roughly 2 years ago, the city introduced an alternative to homeless shelters, safe parking, otherwise known as an area designated specifically for the homeless. It especially gives them a safe spot to park so they can sleep in their vehicle during the night. Because the first lot was such a success, they called for more. The expansion will ultimately add an additional 150 safe parking spots, bringing the total to around 300. Under the authorities' new model, most lots would require multiple security guards working 12-hour shifts. While existing lots accommodate 5 to 10 cars, new ones would need to operate with no fewer than 25, and 95% of the spots must be full every night. Lot operators would also be required to offer on-site case management and other services, and all of it must be done for less than $30 per car per night, and ideally less than $20, according to the Homeless Authority's plan. The higher of the two funding levels is relatively similar to what we pay for a shelter bed, said Heidi Martson, the authority's chief program officer. Now, please tell me why the Democrats that are running California, why they're wanting to import more and more illegals when they can't even pay for the people that they have here legally, American citizens sleeping in their cars. Does this make sense to anyone? However, many see this as yet another political band-aid, and that's exactly what it is. Pointing to the city's leaders' failure to address the crux of the issue, factors that contribute to homelessness itself. The quick fixes are costing the city more than most realize. While city leaders float solutions, such as mobile bathroom facilities, they do not come cheap. According to the LA Times, a single mobile bathroom can cost roughly $300,000 per year in basic operations alone. Factoring another basic hygiene amenities such as showers could come with a $57 million annual price tag. Honestly, what I believe that they should do, and if I was in a position to be able to suggest this, I would. They can build tiny homes now for very, very cheap. Very cheap. I think that they should, as they did in one city, and I can't remember where it was, but they took the homeless and they put them in tiny homes, and they let them be the guard over their own community. And everyone had to help with the garden, had to help with keeping everything clean, help with the garbage, help with, it was gated. They had to help, watch the gate. And these people lived in their very own tiny home, but they had a shower, they had everything they needed, and were self-sufficient. And, doesn't that make sense? I mean, you can build tiny homes really very cheaply. And now they have the 3D printing, and they can put up a home in, very, very quickly. So there you go. That would be my solution. Anyway, let's leave that. And, all right. Now, this is interesting too, and I'm not going to read this. I just want to show you this from Natural News, which is also a great site. New York, dismember the late-term babies, but do not declaw the cats. Now, I love cats. I love cats, and I've had cats around me all my life, and especially because both of my grandparents had dairy farms, and they needed the cats around because it caught the mice and the grain and so forth. So they were working cats, and you treated them well. But that's sad when it's okay to dismember a baby when they're full term, but it's illegal to declaw a cat. Because you know what? As much as I love cats, it's a cat. It's not a person. And I don't know. It boggles the mind, really. It really does. Okay, and let's look at this from the Bradford file. So let me get this straight. Barack Obama's CIA, FBI, Intel, DOJ, and cabinet are all embroiled in a massive unmasking, spying, and cover-up operation, which includes engaging foreign assets and defrauding secret courts meant to combat terrorism, and the media is ignoring his role? Yep, they got that right. That's exactly what's happening. And I found this very prophetic in a sense. It's kind of ironic, to say the least. Report, friendship sapling gifted by Macron to Trump dies. Well, isn't that special? An oak tree sapling gifted by French President Emmanuel Macron to U.S. President Donald Trump is no more. Various media reports on Monday alleged Trump and Macron planted the specimen on the White House lawn during Macron's state visit to the U.S. in April 2018, but it went missing shortly afterwards. French ambassador to the U.S., Gerard Araud, tweeted at the time that the sapling had been quarantined to comply with U.S. customs regulations. Well, that makes sense. In its quarantine, which is mandatory for any living organism imported to the U.S., it will be replanted afterwards. But French news agency AFP offered a different take on its fate. It reported Monday the tree, meant to symbolize friendship between the two nations, died in quarantine and was never replanted. Quarantine is mandatory for any living organism imported to the U.S. The small European oak hailed from Belleau Wood, where more than 2,000 American Marines died and over 7,000 were injured in battle on June 1918 during World War I. It probably died from all the people peeing on it. I'm just saying. Okay, let's go back. No, really, let's. No, seriously. Okay, let's look at this. Government report. Muslim prison gangs forcing inmates to convert to Islam. You know I'm doing that on purpose, right? Okay. Yeah, how do you like that? Muslim prison gangs, oops, I meant Muslim, are forcing inmates to convert to Islam and follow religious practices or face violent repercussions, according to a government report. So that shouldn't surprise anybody, but I wanted to bring it up. I'm not going to belabor this and read all this because, well, we know what's going on. Yep, we do. Okay. Let's go back now, shall we? Yes. Here we are. This by Lady Deplorable. This just points to the character of the criminal Hillary. Remember, she stole things, dishes, etc. from the White House. Reprehensible. No crime is too large or too small. Hillary Clinton accused of stealing furniture from the State Department. Can you imagine? Can you imagine feeling that entitled? And I had heard that she had stole dishes and all sorts of stuff from the White House. These are, they're irreplaceable. You know, they really are, because they belong to the White House. She doesn't care. She feels entitled. She feels that she can have anything she wants and take any life she wants to take. Hillary Clinton accused of stealing furniture from the State Department. Unbelievable. Hillary Clinton swiped State Department furniture to decorate her Washington home, a former member of her security detail has alleged. I believe it. I absolutely believe it. Now, knowing that Ebola is housed in monkeys as well as fruit bats, look at this. This is what we have now. Chimpanzee meat is being sold on market stalls in Britain, claims scientist. Well. First of all, I think it's horrendous to eat monkeys because they are very, very, very intelligent. A leading primate scientist has claimed chimpanzee meat is being sold. Ooh, that yawn just came on me. Who is yawning out there? I'll catch you. I'll find out who you are. A leading primate scientist has claimed chimpanzee meat is being sold on market stalls in Britain after being smuggled into the country. Dr. Ben Garrod from the University of East Anglia said the product is being sold as bush meat, the meat of African wild animals. He claimed to have been told by Border Force just a few weeks ago a ton of bush meat from West Africa has been confiscated on a flight headed to the U.S. Oh my gosh. The scientists explained the meat was regularly smuggled into the UK and mainland Europe and could be found in a number of major cities. To help prevent against smuggling, there have been calls for the Border Force Agency to introduce DNA testing to allow them to identify meat at customs. Yes, that's a very good idea. The agency has said it would be investing in new technology to tackle the rising issue. Well, isn't this interesting that this comes up right around the time where we have an Ebola outbreak? Yeah. Wow. Would you be eating any meat from there? I wouldn't. Especially meat from animals that are known to house the virus. No way. Poor little monkeys. I feel bad for them. Anyway. Okay, now here's something. It's not this. I almost hesitate to even bring this to you because it's so horrific, and yet I feel like we have to know where we are. I can't be like the mainstream news and just not report something because I don't like it. But let's take a look at this. Unbelievable. And it's taking its time here. All right. Brazil. Couple stabs 9-year-old boy to death after makeshift gender reassignment surgery. This poor boy. Unbelievable. Ron Macon, 9, was stabbed to death on May 31st by his mother, Rosana da Silva Candido, 27, and lesbian partner, Kaisla Damasceno Peso, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that name right, 28. The boy was stabbed to death as he slept after suffering for a year after a botched gender reassignment surgery that they did. They did this to the boy. They didn't like him because he was a man. Well, he was a boy, gonna be a man. They obviously don't think highly of men. And while we're on this subject, I'm getting so sick of these t-shirts that say the future is female. No, it's not. Could you imagine the mess we would have been in if the pilgrims and the those that migrated from England and Wales and Ireland and all those places, just the women came? Seriously. Like, I don't know where this stuff is all coming from, but I hate it. According to Brazil's Child Protective Services, the boy had a kind of sex change surgery. After removing the penis, they sewed the mutilated region and improvised a version of a female genital organ, making a cut in the groin. The surgery had apparently been performed with no medical supervision after Ruan's mother had decided to turn her son into a girl. Why is this happening? More and more and more. We're seeing these crazy women wanting to mutilate their boys. My gosh. What is wrong with these women? There is nothing wrong with masculinity. There is no such thing as toxic masculinity. I don't understand this war on men, and there is a war on men. You see it every day, and it enrages me. You know, we talk about the Muslims and how they treat women. Well, we're treating men the same way. A lot of us women are treating men the exact same way. We're emasculating them. We're making them feel useless. We're degrading them. It's sickening. It's very sickening. The surgeon, okay, so Ron's father had previously, this is very sad too, because he had a father that loved him. Ron's father had previously contacted Child Protective Services and the police after expressing concerns about the welfare of his son. Ron's mother and her partner were able to evade the authorities by moving across the states and around the country. Child Protective Services were unable to keep up or save Ron's young life. Ron's father told the press, "We tried to save Ron. We published messages on social media. We contacted police and Child Protective Services. No one helped us." It appears that Ron had suffered extensive psychological trauma from his mother for being male before his penis was severed and his eventual death. Can you imagine? Can you imagine a young boy and your mother cuts off your genitalia? I don't know. I mean, it's almost... And I know this is harsh, but it's almost a blessing that this young boy died and is no longer subjected to this, because he never would have been right. How do you make something like that right? Unbelievable. It makes me want to cry. Who is protecting the children? It seems like no one. It seems like those that should be protecting them are the very predators that prey on them. Terrific. And it's very, very sad. And especially, I mean, like, I don't have any children, but I can't imagine. If I had a child, I feel like I would be very blessed. I can't imagine doing anything to harm a child. I can't. Anyway, let's go back. All right, now let's look at this. The DC Patriot redacted Seth Rich investigation notes released. Now, this was from April 30th, but I'm just now hearing about it. So, redacted notes. Good afternoon, everyone. For those of you that have been following our thread on Twitter by Real Matt Couch, and he is a good person to follow. He has been following all this Seth Rich stuff for a long time, and of course, Seth Rich was the DNC worker that was murdered. They say that it was a robbery, but nothing was taken. And of course, it is Seth Rich that transferred the files from the DNC to WikiLeaks. Yeah, no Russians involved. Now, you know what? This is so redacted. So I don't know. You know what? I found this very, very late, and I didn't have a chance to go through it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through it and look through it and find the salient points and pull those out for the next video. Well, maybe not the next video, but tomorrow's video. So I'm going to do that because this is a lot to read. It's getting late, and yeah, there's a lot there. So that's what I'm going to do. All right, let's go back, make sure we haven't missed anything, and I know I have because there's a lot more down here, I do believe. Okay, maybe not. Maybe I do have a lot of it. There's the Ebola stuff. We're not going to visit that right now. Okay, so I think we've covered the bulk of it there, and I think that's it. Now, this has been a long video, but hopefully I'll get this uploaded and get another video out to you tonight. If not, I'll be back tomorrow, but I'm hoping to get another video out tonight. So thank you guys so much for listening. You guys are so kind in your comments and so forth, and I really appreciate it. And I also appreciate how kind you are to each other. I love to see that. You know, you pray for one another, you encourage one another, and I really like that because isn't that what we're here for? We're not on this earth for a very long time. It's but a breath. And if we can make somebody else's life just a little bit better, then why shouldn't we? So I like that you encourage each other and pray for one another. I think that that is wonderful, and I love to see that. So, and I know you do the same for me, and I certainly pray for you guys. So thank you guys so much, and I will talk to you soon. Keep seeking truth, because deception